Hey you guys, I'm Ashley.
And I'm Liz, and this is the Besties in the Books podcast.
Ooh,
hey.
What's up, you guys? Happy freaking Tuesday, or whatever day it is that you're listening to this.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Well, we just got back from Romantasy Bookcon at the Biltmore in LA with Fabled Events. Fabled Fantasy Events.
It's tricky. It's a tricky one.
I literally cannot
Yeah.
remember it.
The
way that it's meant to be remembered.
Just flows off the tongue a certain way.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But today's episode's spoiler free because we're just going to be talking all about our first BookCon experience. Ever.
Book, like, even any convention that's outside of, like, sports or maybe clubs in high school.
Yeah.
Clubs, like, as an adult choice con. Convention.
Like I went to a couple like in college, but they were very, very different. Really, yeah, exactly. Or ones for work.
Not ones that you purposely paid money to choose of your own accord.
Yeah, very different. Very different.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was our first one. We're gonna give you guys some tips. Not that we're experts literally at all because we've been to one convention. However, it is fresh in our minds. Like we literally just got back yesterday. And so we will be able to at least tell you like what we would have done differently. Like going into this, and hopefully might help you guys out if you're new to this, BookCon circuit.
Yeah.
So we're going to share some of those tips with you. We're going to do kind of a fun little like rapid fire BookCon smash or pass. And then, one of our favorite parts of the convention was being able to go to different panels where authors were getting interviewed, asked questions, it was like a discussion, Q&A kind of thing. And so, I was like furiously writing down notes because I wanted to be able to share some of these questions with you guys and then kind of open it up with, in a discussion between Ashley and I, and then we could pose the questions to you guys later as well.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do today. It's going to be super fun. I'm excited. Ashley and I haven't really talked about any of this. I mean, literally we got back yesterday.
And it was so hard too, because like we were even at lunch leaving Romantasy, and we're talking about what we're going to talk about without going into it, though.
Yeah.
It's like, because,
don't say too much.
Lips, like, don't, because we could go on and on and on. So, like,
we want to save it. Save it for you guys so that it's all like brand new information. But yeah,
sometimes I forget too if I say it out loud.
Yeah.
Verbalize it.
Well, because then it's like out of the brain.
Yeah. You just dump empty trash.
Empty trash. And then it's just nothing floating around in there.
But yeah.
I get it. I definitely do. So we just try to hold it in, put it in our notes app.
It's my inside out characters like throwing things away willy-nilly.
It's a battle to the death in there. Let's be honest. Yeah. Like it really is,
that movie was so relatable. I'm like, oh, that's what's going on up there.
Yeah.
Like the guy with the hoses, like sucking up all the memories and thoughts. Like that's what's going on in my brain constantly. You don't need this information.
I always think of like the Neverending Story. You know?
My gosh, yeah.
Yeah, with the memories that are in those little like orbs, and they can get stolen or whatever. I'm like, who's up there stealing my memory orbs?
Yeah.
Makes me feel a little bit better about it. Like maybe it's not entirely my own brain's fault. Something's in there. So before we get into all that, if that's something that interests you, we just want to say thank you for being here.
Yeah, seriously, thank you guys so much for stopping in and taking time out of your day and your book to listen on into us. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe anywhere you like to listen to your favorite podcasts, including YouTube, which if you're on YouTube right now, you can see our new in-person setup. Like it's our official like color scheme that we're using. We have this really cool like woodsy backdrop, and we got our hot pink pillows and turquoise pillows. And it's just like, we hope that if you are on our YouTube video, especially like you feel our vibe.
Yeah, totally.
If you're listening, you can go check it out, or you can see in the pictures of the reels that we post and everything. But like, we want this to be like a whole vibe. Our Hunger Games episodes, which are out now, dude, it's a flame background. We accidentally dyed our hair the same color at the same time, which like, what a surprise. Not really, because we always do that. But like, it's just a whole scene and a whole vibe, and it's fun. Awesome. It's so much fun. So yeah, make sure to follow us everywhere at Besties in the Books Podcast, TikTok, Instagram, and we're on Fable at Besties in the Book Club if you want to join in on buddy read or a book club read, what have you. We're everywhere, all the places. So if we met you at Romantasy Bookcon, freaking thank you also for first of all being awesome and checking us out. Like we made a lot of friendships there. It was so cool. Like,
It
what a
was
treat.
really fun.
Like, we found some of our people, and I love that. You know? So cool.
So why don't we just kick this off then with our Faves and Fail Romantasy Bookcon edition?
I'm curious if we have the same fave and fail.
Yeah,
or not.
me too. Okay, so are you going to go first today, or do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay, let's hear
So
it.
to lead off of what I was just saying, I think that was my favorite thing about being at a event such as Romantasy Bookcon, book convention, is that we were surrounded by all of our people. Like, amazing, nice human beings that are non-judgmental and empowering to each other and just supportive and wonderful. Like, everybody's so complimentative. Like, that's not a word, but like, everybody's complimenting each other. We're complimenting them. They're complimenting us. Like, it's a feel good vibe. And because it's a book convention that's geared towards romantasy, obviously, heavily female audience, heavily female attendees, and you just feel like you're in a safe space as a woman there.
100%.
So I just absolutely loved the vibe the entire weekend. It wasn't like a high that everybody's on when they first get there. It was immediate, like you did feel that, but it literally continued throughout the entire weekend, including the masquerade ball. Like, seeing everybody's dresses were
so
all
cool.
unique. I never saw the same one twice, and it was so different because I've been to corporate events and stuff that are like a ball and whatever you call it, and it's just a very different feeling, vibe, everything.
Yeah.
This was just like a woman's dream.
Yeah. We were just there to have fun, and it was
Nobody's asking you to dance awkwardly and weird or trying
gross.
to sleaze on your friend and buy you drinks.
Yeah.
Like, none of that weird social interaction that would normally happen, like at a high school dance or whatever.
Or just like
Saturday
out at a
night
bar.
out.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to deal with any of that.
Yeah.
Which is just a freaking dream. And they're playing the best music, like millennia nostalgia music, rocking out to Backstreet Boys,
Spice Girls.
Yeah, it was just so overall for me, I think my favorite thing to sum up is just like the incredible vibe throughout the whole weekend of feeling safe and feeling like you're with your people and no mean girl energy whatsoever.
No, I didn't experience any of that anywhere.
It makes me want to cry. It makes me want to melt into a puddle of happiness.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What a beautiful thing.
Not just attendees either, though. It was like, it was authors, assistants, vendors.
Yeah, people
like,
working. The volunteers were incredible.
Everything.
Like,
yeah. No mean girl energy from anyone. No, like, I don't know, like, like hierarchical, like vibe energy. Like, that is such a weird sentence to say. Yeah. But you guys know what I mean. Like, I didn't feel any of that either going on.
I come from my YouTube background being in the beauty industry. I've been to a few influencer events, what have you. And it, as nice as people can be, it's still very surface level and it's very divided between how many followers people have or whatever. So you didn't feel any of that here. Most people were just attendees, like, the everyday person. And it was just great. And everybody's different and everybody's together and there's no hierarchy or cliques or any. You could tell, obviously, like, we were together the whole time because we're going together, but like, and everybody's open though to like new friendships and saying hi. Yeah. And we're also, most of us, I'd say, like, are fairly introverted at the same time. Yes. So it's like, Liz and I were talking about how sweet it is. It's like, it's a run-by fruiting compliment. And it's like, oh, I love that outfit. You see it, but it's like, you want to compliment, and we're the same way, like, oh, I love this. But like, you're scared because you don't want to have like a full conversation all the time. But like, you can still give it out. And it's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's just perfect. Yeah. It's great.
I agree. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what was if you had to choose a fail?
Okay, my fail for the weekend is not spending money on books and merch. I wanted to buy all the things, and we'll talk about it in our tips and tricks because, listen, your girl was prepared, maybe not like actually prepared financially, but I was like, okay, I'm going to do some damage, I'm going to buy, like, I had a few books on my list I wanted to make sure to get to, and a couple merch shops that I want to check out, and candles that I could smell in person finally. And I didn't get the chance to do it because time, and experience got in the way. Yeah. But now we know. So we'll talk about all of that. Yep. Yeah. Okay. What about you? What's your favorite and your failurite?
Failurite? Sounds like a degree or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, my fave was very similar to yours, but like also different a little bit. So like mine was like, I just put like girlhood.
Yeah.
Because I think that it was like, in my opinion, the personification of like what that means in a lot of ways. It was like this idea that like, you know, let's just talk about the ball, for example. I feel like that was one of the most like obvious examples of that to me. It's like, you know, we talked about this on a lot of the, like during a lot of the author panels about we're not writing, reading, or existing for the male gaze. And I feel like that was very obvious in that setting. And I really appreciated it. It was like, you know, is exactly what you were saying. We were all dressed up. Like, we had a ton of fun putting on these amazing gowns and doing our hair and doing our makeup and wearing crowns and fake ears and wings and, you know, no matter how, maybe you were wearing a giant...
Glitter to fill.
Like, exactly.
You know, accessories, no accessories, high heels, no high heels, flats, like whatever.
Whatever. Like maybe super revealing, maybe very conservative, maybe everything in between.
With cosplayers mixed in.
Yeah, like, exactly. And it was like this idea that like... the freedom in knowing that, yeah, it's a safe space, but also that, you know, the expectation is not to dress for the male gaze in that instance. You know, maybe you live your everyday life that way, but still I feel like even so, you know, subconsciously, lots of times, like, we get sucked into that anyways, you know? And so that's a different conversation. But basically, like, I loved that idea that it's just, like, exist how you are and how you feel like you want to be right now. And that's it. And then just have fun. And I loved that for all of us. Because I feel like there's few female-dominated spaces anyway. And it was just, we were amongst good company.
Yeah. I don't know that I can think of a time ever outside of just my own home or like a family's home, you know, in a public space that I ever felt so safe and comfortable and that I will not be perceived in any way other than who I am. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
We ran out to get coffee one of the mornings, and I was dressed up, like I had these crazy extensions in my ponytails, and I had these horns in my hair, and we're all dressed up like full black, you know, and I was wearing like a shorter skirt, and we had to run across the street to Starbucks, and I like, as soon as I left the building, I was like, oh no. Like, I'm not used to dressing up like that in my everyday, even though it's like who I am in my head, you know, because you know, I'm running around picking up kids from school and stuff. So I got to like be like my full self in like in an extreme way. And it's like, wait. There's lots of guys around, you know, outside. And I was like, this isn't for your eyes. You know, I felt totally fine in the I didn't even think twice. And literally we stepped out the door and I saw like people in real public. I'm like, no. Hang on.
It just feels different. And I think that, you know, if you're a woman, you understand that.
Yeah.
That it feels completely different. And so, yeah, so that was one kind of piece of that. The other piece of that is just this idea that like it sounds so cliche, but it's like the Shania Twain song. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the girlhood thing. It's the fact that we get to have fun just for the sake of fun.
Yeah.
And there's no... That's it. There's no expectation.
Or, yeah.
Like, we don't have to have an explanation for wanting to be around other women, dress up around other women, dance, you know, take silly pictures, just have a good old time. Like, no one's expecting anything from us. And we get to just express ourselves freely without anything else. Yeah. Like, it's just it was simple. Yeah. And I feel like, we don't really get to exist in the world in that way very often. And so, I really appreciated that. And it's one of those moments too that just like makes me grateful to be a part of this community, but also to be a woman, because I feel like, you know, obviously there's a lot of ways in which patriarchy does not work in our favor. But I think this is one of those particular instances where sometimes it makes me a little sad for, you know, people who identify as men, because I feel like because of patriarchy, don't necessarily have the freedom to express themselves in that way.
It affects men as well.
Yeah, it does. And so I feel like, like to be a man and never know what it feels like to do something like what we did.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Sports.
I don't think it's the same.
They're still showboating.
I don't think it's the same.
But even among, like, there's not every single women-ran event that I've felt this way. Like, I've been to. And this particular, what is that? This particular, like, group, you know?
It was great.
Very beautiful. It's beautiful. Space to be in.
Yeah. It's just a different vibe, I think. And yeah.
And not to say like our experience is exactly the same experience everybody had.
No, absolutely
there,
not.
you know, we only can know from our experience, and it's a beautiful thing. I don't think we're the only ones. It seems like everybody had that same vibe that we talked to, of just like, wow, what an amazing space to be in right now and be a part of.
Yeah. So anyways, girlhood in a nutshell.
Ooh.
The freedom to express ourselves freely.
Yeah.
And just support each other. Like, what a time.
Yeah.
My fail is just, it's not really my fail, but there just wasn't, there just wasn't food, guys.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that too, in the tips section, but you know, and it wasn't just like, because I'm, you know, quote unquote, a picky vegan person. It like, wasn't that. It's just, there like, literally like wasn't food.
Yeah. And it might depend on location, hotel, whatever, but it's something that as event hosts, they should consider. There wasn't even, we did order Uber Eats both days, which is fine because we're in LA and it's accessible and easy. But I know this was like the first LA event. I know sometimes they kind of put them in weird places that you might not be able to access food as easy. So again, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but yeah, it was very bizarre.
Yeah. The food situation.
And there's nowhere to sit either when you get your Uber Eats. That's what I was getting at, is like, where do we go now?
Unless you go back up to like the hotel room, but it's like, I don't want to sit in the room. We didn't have our hotel room yet. Oh, the first day.
We didn't have it until 3, and we got there at like 8, you know?
So we just got to wander the halls.
And it's a nice, you know, busy hotel. It's not like you want to, I mean, we had to, people just plunk down in the aisles and stuff, but it's not ideal. No. You know, they should have like a table space or something.
Yeah. So that was like what I thought was a fail. A fail. Yeah. You know, if I had to choose something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, then let's just get into our 5 tips for Bookcon newbies.
Yeah.
From us, the experts in Bookcons. Just kidding. Literally, we've been to one. So, but like I said, it's very fresh in our mind. And I feel like sometimes maybe people who have been to a million of these things might not think of it the same way. So,
or like, yeah, each one is different, but this is the one that we've been to, and this is what you should consider, because maybe you've been to a few, but you didn't have this issue there, so watch out for this, you know? And as we go to more, because we definitely obviously would want to now, we'll learn more things along the way that we can share with you, but as fresh out of our first time, these are some major tips that we can let you know on.
Yeah. Okay, so number 1, get there the night before.
Yeah. Which we should have known from cruising.
Yeah.
But alas.
We did not.
You know, we do what we can. We'll know for next time.
Yeah, we'll know for next time. Obviously, I flew down a week ago, so I've been here. And then we drove up from Ashley's house. And so I would say, because like the first event that we were going to, because technically it started Thursday night.
So technically it started Thursday night we were the second to highest tier. It was the tier after. I don't know, were we a part of that tier still? I think we might have still been it still might have included the Thursday night, but it seemed like it was just like a like an icebreaker like thing. So we were like, I don't know, whatever. And I have kids that I have to, you know, have childcare provided for. So I was like, I think we can miss it.
Which that's totally fine. Like I don't regret not going on Thursday night. It was mostly just driving there Friday morning. We had to leave obviously really early, and then they were having a lot of parking issues.
So they had a lot of parking issues, guys. And they even did try to, no, they didn't email for that one. Did they email for, no, they emailed about parking maybe Wednesday night or something as a reminder, like these are your options, but they apparently sold out on Thursday.
Yeah. And we were staying, just to give you context, we were actual guests staying at the hotel, booked in advance on Friday night and Saturday night, checking out Sunday.
Yeah.
And originally they were like, sorry, parking's full.
when we got there.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Like, they told us to go around the corner to this other place. That place was like, what the hell are you talking about? We came back around, and he's like, oh, no, it's this other place. And then luckily we had someone that was like, oh, no, you're good. We have another spot. So we did that.
But it was a bit clustery.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So we were a little late, to our...
We missed our first
first panel. So keep that in mind. And we left with a pretty big buffer, but still, LA traffic or wherever you're going. So be prepared for delays on your arrival day if you're not going the day before. So that's a big tip. Put a really big buffer in. Eat breakfast next door. Like something like that.
Yeah.
If you can't get there the night before.
In the future, like even if we weren't going to the Thursday event, I would suggest getting there on Thursday. Mm-hmm. Checking in, chilling, getting some dinner, whatever, and then starting, fresh in the morning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's worth it, I think. And then that way you don't have to deal with any of those last minute, snafu situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that would allow you to possibly, going into the next tip, get the lay of the land and the maps and where everything's going to be. If you get there the day before, you'll have time to make sure you can do that.
Just roam. I feel like, if we would have gotten there on Thursday, we could have roamed around, even if we weren't participating.
And even if they weren't fully set up yet.
Yeah,
you could talk to people and say, hey, what's good? Where's this going to be? Or where's that,
And just this particular hotel, the Biltmore, it's very, it's an old historic hotel. Mm-hmm. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous, but it's not like a convention center where it's set up for that reason. Yeah.
And that's what I was expecting. Like a big room.
Yeah. No, it was like a lot of multiple. Yeah. It was multiple ballrooms, multiple kind of side rooms.
And
there was
stairs,
upstairs and downstairs, and kind of maze-like in certain areas.
Yeah, maze-like and spread out.
Yeah. So, if we would have gotten there the day before, we could have, just very leisurely figured out, okay, maybe this is where we want to go, then this is where we want to go, and this is how far apart these are. So realistic, this is how much, time in between events we can plan for, etc. Because we were just kind of wandering around. We didn't even know where half the stuff was.
It was literally the last hour we figured out where everything was. So finding out your lay of the land is the biggest tip that we have for you.
It's like going to you're going to Disneyland for the first time and you don't have an actual detailed map. Yeah. Good luck.
And we found out by talking with people that there was more detailed information on the
Discord channel.
Discord. So we're not a part of Discord yet. We're told that we need to do that, so we will. But that would have helped us with a lot of information, but we don't even know where to get that information other than talking about it,
and I've heard some critiques as well, just when I was online looking at social media, that it would have been fairly useful to have a lot of this information just on the actual website.
Yeah. Or even the app that they had us download.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the app really just told us schedules. It would have been great to have more detailed information.
Yeah, exactly.
That we can easily click to.
Or just updates too. If there's a way to update and just be hey guys, I know this is really inconvenient, but parking is full, so plan on blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Just anything.
Yeah, that. Yeah. Just a heads up. Yeah. Before everybody driving this morning, find something else. Because there's a lot of parking structures around that would be less panicky if you knew where you're going. You know?
Totally.
And
set expectations too,
Yeah. Also, we this might just be a critique of this particular event, even though we had a great time, obviously, but we didn't know when things had ended. So when we went to finally be able to have time that we weren't at a ticketed event or a panel, that we had a chunk of time before it seemed like things were supposed to close for people to go get their hair and makeup done and get ready for the ball, everything closed at 4, wasn't it 4? So we're oh, it's probably till 5. That makes sense because the ball didn't start till 8.
Yeah.
So, and then it seemed like all the hair and makeup was starting at 5. So I think it's until 5. So we went to the room to take a quick rest and get comfy. And then we were just going to go chill and walk around and get some shopping done and see some authors that we hadn't had a chance to yet. And we got there and it was 5 minutes left because it was closing. So we had no idea it was closing at 4. All the other booths.
Which could have been our bad.
But I went back in the app even after, and I couldn't see anything that said...
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we were laying, chilling in bed for that half an hour, and I was looking, and I'm I can't... It looks like 5 o'clock is fine, but we should go now just in case. So by the time you get down to the elevator and get to the rooms, you got 5 minutes left,
And figure out where stuff is.
Yeah.
So that's one of our points, is sign up for ticketed authors, but specifically set aside time for other authors.
Yeah.
So, it's like, because we had ticketed signings for, I guess, technically 4 authors, but then one ended up not coming. So we had 3 ticketed signings, which accounts for, I'd say in each line, we probably waited in line for 30 to 45 minutes per line.
Longer.
Really?
Yeah, because they gave you half an hour slots. We were easily in each line for an hour.
An hour,
which is fine to me. I'm not complaining, but just account for that.
Okay, so let's say
because it makes you feel like you have more time than you do.
You
have to get in line a little bit, like don't like get in line too far in advance because they were turning people away.
Yeah.
Like people that when we had a 10 o'clock, people were getting in line for 10:30 and they said no, like come back or you're gonna just stand here for 30 minutes because we're gonna let all the 10 o'clocks in. So it's just no point. Go do something else basically. But we got in line maybe 5 minutes early.
Yeah.
And we probably didn't leave like our 10 o'clock signing until 11.
Okay. So let's just say,
And there
worst case scenario.
behind us for that time slot.
I feel like the lines moved fairly quickly.
They didn't move fast. They have a flow to it.
Yeah.
You never know like how long a line is going to go, but just keep that in mind for your day.
Yeah. So, but I mean, really, like, okay, so let's say that was like 3 hours of our time there.
Yeah.
You know, all in all, that's not that much of all the time from that whole entire time we were there. So, you know.
Sure, but you have to account for using the bathroom, eating.
Panels.
Sitting down for a sec. Yeah.
Yeah.
Panels. Yeah. All the other
Everything.
things you have going on. Checking into your hotel. Like
getting ready. All the stuff.
Things that you have going on. Yeah.
But I would just say, look at your list of all the authors who are there. And then figure out who's in which room together.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say there's 10 other authors you want to meet that you don't have ticketed signings for, and 3 of them are in this room, and the other 7 of them are in this other room. Figure out where those rooms are ahead of time when you're getting the lay of the land, and then set a big chunk of time where you can go in there and go through, you know, all the booths, but then make sure that you have time to get all your stuff signed and do shopping in each area. And you can utilize, you know, we were talking about this, you can utilize time in between panels and whatnot also.
That was what kind of discouraged us from doing that. We should have, but because there was only half an hour between each panel on the second day. So we kind of signed up for 4 that were back to back basically, and then had a half an hour in between each one. So it's kind of like, okay, by the time we go up there, because the way it was laid out, we were like, it felt like we were in the basement, you know?
Yeah,
and
totally.
And the first floor, you have to go back to like a couple different levels to get back. So it's like, okay, by the time we figure that out, we already need to be back here.
Yeah.
But if we knew that
we
that
could
was
have
our
gone
only
up there.
chance, we would have booked it.
Yeah.
We would have done it,
Yeah.
you know? And there was also people like leaving panels early, quietly and stuff, and coming in a little bit late, and it was totally fine.
Yeah, they're
Everybody was
not
respectful.
crazy
They're
about
not-
any of that
You can't
stuff.
get up and move. Like, it's very chill. Just quietly leave, and you can do that, you know, if you feel like you need to, because people had to leave to go to ticket signings and stuff.
Yeah.
But you can even leave if you want to just catch a little bit of the panel and go and get things done.
Yeah, everyone's very cool about that. It's like there wasn't any like shaming for leaving early or even walking in late as long as you were quiet. Like all that was fine.
Yeah.
So just to recap so far, we have get there the night before, whatever your first events are going to be. Get a detailed lay of the land all set up so that you can make a plan. And then set aside time for authors that aren't ticketed or to do shopping, check out the vendors, like do all that extra stuff. Okay, so the next one that we have is bring snacks and provisions.
Because, again, no food.
Yeah. So, you know, I feel like I'm used to, okay, so I come from the skincare beauty background. So all of the conventions that I would go to would be meals actually are usually provided at the convention. So you're never having to worry about it. And the bare minimum is like, you know, maybe for breakfast, it's not a sit down meal, but you at least have like a coffee shop cafe kind of situation where you can go pick stuff up.
Yeah, there was one cafe someone had mentioned. I don't remember ever seeing it.
I don't remember seeing it either.
Somebody said they're just weird hours. But again, that's the hotel. I don't know where it was. It's kind of,
and it could be different anywhere that you go.
Every venue is going to be different.
So yeah, I mean, we ordered Uber Eats. That was fine. It was easy. There was, you know, there were definitely restaurants that were within walking distance. There was a Starbucks right across the street. So that was all good. But like, you know, we definitely had snacks in the room, which was good. But just be prepared that there may not be easily accessible food options everywhere for you.
Which maybe that's not a big deal for some people, but it's something that we love food. So we're constantly planning for what the next meal, you know?
Yeah. Well,
and
I don't want to be hungry and grouchy. And
and it's so hard to sit through a panel when you're starving.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Like, hard to pay attention or in line or whatever. So it's just, it was surprising too. We were all like, literally anybody that came to the water refill station that they had, I only saw them in the panel room. They had one on each side, a water refill little dispenser, you know, and all of us were filling up because that was the only drinks anywhere except maybe the lobby had somebody. Sometimes with, you know, sodas, beer, and wine to purchase, like, but they weren't always there.
We did find out,
like, it was just tricky. It wasn't like a regular hotel in that way. And there was a bar. It was a bar though. It
opened late. Yeah.
There's nothing during the day, basically.
Yeah, we did find out on the last day that you could go to the front desk and get bottled water for free.
Yeah.
But again, we didn't know that until we went and asked.
Yeah, because we couldn't find water anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like 8 o'clock, or I think it was like 10 o'clock at that point. We're like, we need water, dude.
Yeah.
And she just had a case there. There you go.
So bring provisions. So asterisk.
Bring a case of water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I usually do, you know, for some vacations, but I just didn't think it would be a thing here.
Yeah.
And usually at, like you said, at some of the conventions you've been to, and me too, like usually they would provide a beverage station.
Yeah.
You know, a hosted beverage station. So there wasn't one of those there. I don't know how the other conventions are, but be prepared.
Yeah, be prepared.
For either option. And then it's if it is there, it's like, ooh, great, a treat. You know?
So an asterisk under provisions was a Fire Stick for TV. So, you know, we've encountered this a couple of times now.
So at this point, it's our fault, right? You know?
Yeah,
like,
I guess. Except for,
once.
like, okay, why is it 2025 and it's like TVs just no longer work? It's like, because now everything's on Wi-Fi, and when you have a convention packed out with that many people and everyone is using their phones, literally the TVs either won't load, they'll lag.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And this happened when we were in Vegas for when we were young. We had to watch Twilight on my iPad.
Yeah.
And then this time we ended up watching Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
That one, it worked after 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
We were trying to watch just Friends, you know, and eat.
Oh,
and
yeah. And it kept on skipping and being so annoying. Yeah. We even tried pausing it to let it buffer like it was 1998. And like, that didn't work either. So just bring your own like device, or just be prepared to like watch TV on, your iPad, your computer, whatever.
And what your priorities are depends. But like for Liz and I, like we're reminiscing of the olden days and what brought us to this. Like we have always loved eating in bed, in a hotel, and watching TV, a movie, whatever. Like, it's a treat.
It's so fun.
We obviously don't eat in our beds at home. Like, this is just a special thing that we've done since we traveled together in high school. So, for us to then be having to yell at the TV because it's not working. Yeah. But it worked fine 20 years ago.
It's because we don't just plug the TV in anymore. It's like, it's so frustrating. Why did we try to fix something that wasn't broken? No, I'm just kidding. That's under provisions.
And then, I mean, then it's not always the movies you want to watch. And like we were trying to watch Hunger Games, and then maybe another miniseries we have coming up we were trying to get watched that we couldn't do. You know.
Just be prepared.
Especially if you're like us who never get a chance to freaking watch TV and movies. That's your only chance to do it. And you're like, great, can't. My only quiet time.
So then the last one, Ashley and I were laughing because of the little, moniker that we came up with earlier. Bring trinkets and treasures to trade.
Yes. Don't forget your 3 T's, everybody. Trinkets, treasures for trading.
Yep. So like we had stickers that we were giving out, but people had everything. They had bookmarks and bracelets and other stickers and just like miscellaneous stuff. Yeah. And so it was fun because it's like, some people would give it out and it would have their books to handles on it. Other people just wanted to share stuff. And it's a good way to talk to people.
Yeah. Or even if you're not an extrovert and you just want to, you want to like make that connection, but you don't, there's people doing both.
Yeah.
There's both sides of the coin. There's people like, here you go. Let's just, thanks. Okay, bye. And then there's people like running at you and be like, here's some stickers. Like, it was like, great. It was so funny. And there's people like leaving them on tables. And then there was people that like, hey, I have these. And then they want to talk and it's an opening door. So it can be like whatever you want it to be. It's just trinkets and treasures.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Trinkets and treasures to trade.
So while we brought stickers with our podcast thing and which we'll include in like future giveaways and stuff too, of course, we would want to do more now that we know it's a thing. Like, oh, I want to do more fun things.
Bracelets.
Yeah.
Bracelets are fun. I have mine on right now that I got. It says, I love to read.
Yeah, I need to put mine on. Yeah, and that was so cute. Someone passed it, had a bunch in line, and at the back of the line said, take one down, pass it around, and Yeah,
which was only mildly awkward when I only had one left to pass. And so I just like handed the one. I just like handed the one to the girl behind me in line. I was like, here you go. And she was like, okay.
Great. Yeah, I think that was more dramatic. Yeah, I got it when there were still 3, so I felt like, oh, this is great.
It was so funny. I was like, yeah, sorry, I don't know. Like your friends don't get one. Apparently you do though. Yeah.
Good intentions though. It only goes so far, but that was so cute. I just loved that though, because you got to, and even just like people watching and just seeing like the friendships forming and just like how sweet everybody is. It just goes back.
It was great.
What an amazing community we all have here. Look at, aren't you happy to be a part of it? I am.
It's very unique.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
It is. And it is what you make of it as well. I think it's important to say that.
Yes. Just like, like I said, it's our experience. Not everybody might feel this way, but we sure do. And the people that we talk to sure do.
Yeah. So, okay. So one of my favorite things were the author panels for sure. It was a great way to get to know authors that perhaps you hadn't heard of before. Maybe you didn't know too much about them. I feel like we got to know a lot about the authors personally, which was great, as well as their books and the types of stories that they write, which was awesome. So, big part of, I would say, the talking points at this convention specifically, because it is Romantasy Bookcon, is, where does Romantasy fall in, I don't know, like...
In the publishing space?
Yeah, in the publishing space. Like, should it be a part of fantasy? Should it be its own thing? Is smut a dirty word? Is it an empowering word? Why do we gravitate so much towards these epic stories written by women, for women, about women? You know what I mean? It's like, what makes it different? What makes it stand apart? And then what also makes it similar to fantasy? And so one of the panels that we went to was asking a lot of these different types of questions. And so I wrote down a lot of the questions and some of the answers that some of the authors were saying, because I thought it would be fun if we talked about those things.
Yeah.
And obviously there were so many topics, and, maybe someday we'll do another episode where we go over some more of the questions. But for now, I just thought 5 questions in kind of this zone about romantasy that I thought were really important questions to ask, just to get us kind of examining what about this genre makes it so special.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay. What are your comfort tropes?
When it comes to fantasy and romantasy, I would say fated mates. Love that. Eat it up. Obviously, enemies to lovers. Love it. And a good old fashioned scavenger hunt. Can I hear a woo woo? I love a good scavenger hunt.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I just wanted to say, what was brought up on the panel is that, they're called comfort tropes because what you're going to get, but there's still twists and turns.
Yeah.
So, totally. It's like whenever, they kind of talked about how when everything is really uncertain in the world and things can be really dark, really stressful, really anxiety inducing, it's like we might not know exactly what's going to happen in the story, but we know that if it's got enemies to lovers in it, it's going to be a comfort read on some level.
Yeah.
So I really thought that was cool. It's like rewatching, like your comfort shows.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again, or movies, whatever.
Yeah, because, we read so many, like, we were just joking about it on a recent episode. Oh, surprise, surprise, enemies to lovers. But it's like, it can be done in so many millions of different ways.
Yeah.
That's why we keep picking up these books.
Yeah.
That are titled or, packaged as such. So...
Yeah, so for mine, same thing, like enemies to lovers for sure. I would say found family is a big one for me. And then we've talked about this in the past, the mutually healing trauma trope.
Yeah.
So I would say like those are my top 3 when it comes to just something that even if it's completely crazy...
Yeah.
will still be a comfort read for me.
Yeah.
So let's see here. What else do I have? Oh, this one was a fun one. So what FMCs did we grow up being inspired by?
Interestingly enough, for me, I don't think I was exposed to very much, to very many strong female leads.
Interesting.
Whether by choice, whether deliberate with, outside influence. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Availability,
I was
perhaps.
like, oh, I wish that was inspired to me. Or I wish I wasn't, like, I wish I watched or read any of that, but I didn't. So I had to pick some that I know, obviously. And then once I had more control of what I was consuming, then like in high school and stuff, then you can see the list grow more from there.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
All right. So give me,
Because now my list is about 1 billion pages long, right?
Yeah.
But originally, I had some slimmer pickings to go through this afternoon. I was like, oh, that's making me depressed. Great.
Aw.
I'm like thinking, oh, I loved this. Oh, that's a guy. Oh, great. That's a man. Oh, great. When did I start seeing strong female leads? Especially because I don't like, you have like Terminator and those kind of more thriller sci-fi movies I wasn't really super into.
Okay.
So, and
see,
then,
I wasn't allowed to watch any of those as a kid.
I would have been, but I didn't like it, so yeah. And then even a lot of movies I was thinking back to childhood, say Star Wars, for instance, Princess Leia, I didn't like her, for whatever reason. And a lot of like, even I was thinking, okay, Princess Bride, well, what is she? What are all these women's goals to get a man,
Yeah.
And as much as I love these characters, I wasn't empowered by them. I didn't resonate
Well, that's
with
why
them.
it makes it a different question.
Yeah.
It's a completely different question to be empowered by a strong female character or be inspired by them as opposed to just liking them.
Yeah, so it was a thinker. It wasn't as easy for me as I thought it was going to be. I was like, oh, whoa, this is very eye-opening.
I feel like mine was eye-opening because a lot of the characters that I was inspired by were not necessarily badasses in the way that you would think.
Yeah.
So, okay. And I did, because this was just like growing up. That was the question, quote unquote, growing up. So I did all the way through high school. So I did like anyone I could think of before college, basically. So, okay. So you go first. Give me one.
Okay. This was literally leaving high school when this movie came out. But, she's my favorite princess.
Oh.
She deserves her moment. You just found this out. That was my favorite
I
princess.
know,
I couldn't believe
cute.
You didn't know it. Tiana from Princess and the Frog.
Perfect.
She would have been my favorite had I had that movie come out when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because I loved Belle, obviously, but, it's still a little different. Tiana, I love her and everything she stood for because she don't need no man. She wasn't trying to get a handout from him. She wanted to do her own thing and open her own restaurant. And she still was like, whatever. Like, I'm not interested in that. I just loved it because it was so refreshing in the Disney space to see a female lead character stay true to her wants and needs in life. So I love her so much. What about you?
Well, just to stick with the Disney princess theme.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys know me now, you know that Elsa is my favorite for kind of a lot of the same reasons.
Yeah, totally.
But back then, my favorites that I was inspired by were Belle. Because I always felt like as a kid, I was ostracized for reading so much, which I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to. And that was Belle.
Yeah.
Everyone thought she was weird.
Yeah.
And so I really, really resonated with her character a lot. It made me feel seen as a little kid.
Yeah.
And then my other favorite Disney princess was Ariel. And honestly, I think that I just was inspired by her because she was going against the norm.
Yeah. A little rebellious.
She was rebellious. And it's like through an adult eyes, it's definitely, these stories are much more problematic.
Yeah. Like, you're 16, calm down.
Yeah, or whatever. But like,
It's more for what it symbolizes.
More for what it symbolizes when you're a little girl and you're like, I don't have to fit into this box that, my parents are putting me in or society at large is putting me in. And I appreciated that. Even ultimately, if her goal at the end, and I think this is what's important, if her goal at the end was to get the prince and to get married, that was her decision.
Good point. So I take it back, Princess Buttercup. Not really, because she was supposed to marry that other guy. And so I'm really watering it down by saying these girls are just going for the men. Because no, it's the men that they want.
It's a man that
so
they
it
want.
is still empowering in its own way.
Yeah, I mean, you're working within a framework that can be problematic.
Yeah.
However, it's just the idea that it's like it showed female characters making their own choices, even if perhaps they were flawed, but they're people. We're all flawed.
Yeah.
So those were my Disney princess.
I love that.
ones.
I love that take. That's beautiful.
So what's next?
Arwen from Lord of the Rings. Girl
What a
with
good
sword. Freaking amazing. Love her.
Yeah.
No notes.
No notes. No notes. That's a good one. Okay, for me, we've got Anne Shirley from Anne of Green Gables. I know you still haven't read those.
I'm like, who is that? I know. Throw the tomatoes at me now.
I mean, that's definitely something we should read for the podcast.
I need to watch it. I remember my older sister being obsessed with it, and I just never sat down to watch it. So
my level of obsession with Anne Shirley was crazy. It was crazy because her whole thing is, I mean, she's extremely outspoken. She's very smart. She's extremely smart. She's a writer. She's creative. She's essentially like a theater kid at heart. You know, she's so dramatic, and she has like this very whimsical way of looking at everyday occurrences. She's just a really unique and special character. I think that's why Anne of Green Gables obviously became wildly popular.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Anne Shirley, she was definitely one of the fictional characters I was extremely inspired by. Book and TV movie version.
Nice.
Both. Yeah.
Nice. My next one, Kat from 10 Things I Hate About You.
Same. I have her on my list too. I mean, she's amazing. I think a lot of us really relate to her.
Yeah. Fascinating. Wow. Like this lady. Love her. Me and my sisters watched that movie on repeat over and over.
There's just something about watching her like ram that guy's car with her car.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this idea that
Feminine effing rage.
Yeah.
Just like your sweater.
Yeah. It's that, but it's also like, you know, she was the first character that I think that I saw in popular media who was reading feminist theory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. Yeah. Like, that's so cool.
Pushing back.
And pushing back. And, you know, again, she fell in love too, right? It's like, and I mean, with Heath Ledger, can we blame her?
I mean, you know.
But I mean, it's really, she was someone I looked up to. Like, I wanted to be her because she was so unique and so strong, but yet so flawed and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And while she went and got with the man, spoiler, sorry.
If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Yeah, she wasn't willing to sacrifice who she was at the end of the day. Not like a lot of the, you know, as much as we love the comfort movies, like She's All That and stuff, they change who they are for the man. And she wasn't doing that.
They take their glasses off and become beautiful.
Wow. They put on their little black dress, you know? And it's like, while those movies are comforting and fun and silly, like whatever, try not to read too much into it, they're not, like we talked about at the beginning, is, you know, not empowering us or inspiring us. But Kat is. Kat was very pivotal in my moment, because I think that came out junior high or high school, early high school
Yeah.
for us. So that was like I can own this, you know, that I have.
Or like, it's like that idea that you can be who you are and there's someone who will love you as you are.
Yeah. That's beautiful too.
I mean, I think that's a very common theme in a lot of the books that we read.
Yeah. And she even like helped other people inspire in that movie to like not take any BS too.
Yeah.
So many great things. And she's funny. Like,
she is funny. I know.
One of us. Okay. What's your next one? Well, that's the same one, but
Jo from Little Women.
which I also have not read. That was on our Christmas reads, guys. We're going to read with you, and then we just didn't have time. So hopefully this Christmas we'll all read it together.
Yes. We'll read that in The Shining. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe. Why not? That'd be kind of fun.
That'd be fun. Let's do it. A friend's read.
Yeah. I mean, they're both great.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you know, you know. I saw myself in Jo so much. Again, she's a writer. She's an intellectual, you know, but deep down, she does crave love. She's a feminist in a time when being a feminist was probably close to impossible, you know, but women did it all the time anyway. And yeah, she just really inspired me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. She's a classic. What about you?
So when I was trying to think of books, I couldn't really think of many books that I read as a kid, except the entire Dear America book.
My gosh, yeah, totally.
So all of those women in history, in modern times, like all of their stories, incredibly inspiring. And those are real people, you know? And then of course, Dear America books, if you're not familiar with it, they make it as if it's that famous person's diary and what they were going through. So you could see yourself in their shoes, and it was really easily digestible as like 6th to 8th graders reading it.
Yeah, totally. I loved those too.
Absolutely loved every single one of those, you know, women. Ate it up.
Yeah, so just to piggyback off of that, one of mine was Rose Dawson from Titanic.
Beautiful.
Yep. And I think same thing. It's like, we know that the story is not historically accurate, okay? Like, that's not important. What's important about this...
10 things about you, you know, like, these aren't all real
people. No, but it's just like this idea that, you know, she didn't just do what she did for Jack. She did what she did to free herself.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I love. I think we probably all love Titanic, and Kate Winslet was just amazing.
I mean, let's give a moment for Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
Like, that was...
She's amazing in general.
One of the first actresses at the time who was heavily, like, they had the criticism of her being in a larger body than she actually was. Not that there's anything wrong with being in a larger body than that, but that, like, look at pictures of that back then, and she was criticized for not being a Kate Moss, you know, very skinny.
And she stood up for herself.
And the casting director didn't change it. They kept that, you know, and...
It's one of the most iconic...
She kept her head held high, and she still got parts, and she did amazing, and
she's still famous to this day.
Pave the way for other size bodies to be in it, you know, in a way. Not helped pave the way, but like was a helping hand in that.
Yeah, I mean, really, it did though.
Yeah.
Because
that was it's one of the biggest grossing movies of all time, I think.
And it withstands the test of time. It's still very good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I think, I mean, Kate Winslet as a person obviously is amazing too. But yeah, I mean, her character, you know, I think that, it's the love story, but in the end, it's about her and her life.
Yeah.
You know, Jack was in her life for a very brief moment.
Yeah.
And so, she was definitely a really big one for me.
Yeah.
Do you have any more?
I couldn't think of any more. Oh, I did a couple more.
Okay.
Just the movie A League of Their Own.
Oh, wow. God, I haven't seen that in so long.
Because I watched that over and over again as a kid. So that was a good
my mom
women
liked that one.
kind of movie that I was exposed to and I loved. And then Angelina Jolie.
Yes.
Like, and everything that she played in pretty much.
Tomb Raider, that was huge for us, I feel like, younger.
And Girl Interrupted, even though obviously, you know, she's having issues. She was one of the, like, main, biggest, tangible person I could think of back in my memory of someone who just exuded next level confidence without feeling like she needs to humble herself, without people constantly trying to humble her. Like, she just owns it to this day, who she is and what she stands for. She actually speaks out a lot about injustices of the world. Not that she's perfect. Don't get me wrong. She's not. Everybody is problematic in their own way at this point. But, like, she is just no holds bar, goes out there, people do criticize her, but I don't know. She just has that confidence that I think, you know, is a lot of the people that we read about, a lot of the women that we read about, what I imagine their confidence level being, you know?
Yeah. I need to rewatch the old Tomb Raiders. I like the new one too, but yeah. Okay, so let's see here. What do I have?
And she goes into a lot of male-dominated spaces too.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, she's painted as like the sex symbol and everything, but I think it goes so much farther. That's what the box they try to put her in. Yeah. And I feel like her confidence is so extreme that it just busts right out anyway.
Yeah, like good luck.
You can't contain it.
Can't contain it. Okay, my next one on the list is Erin Brockovich.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. The way that I think that was probably the first time as a young person I saw a woman in, you know, a position and I guess you could say socioeconomic background that was similar to mine growing up, that was making a huge difference politically.
Yeah.
And the way Julia Roberts played her, 10 out of 10. I rewatched it pretty recently, actually. Again, another one that withstands the test of time. But yeah, she just, again, I think it's like women refusing to be placed in a box because of their gender, circumstance, etc., and doing what they know to be what's just and right and fair.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was a big one for me, for sure. I have a few more. The exhaustive list. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure there's many that I haven't thought of.
Yeah.
Okay, so going more into high school, I have Uma Thurman's character, Beatrix Kiddo from Kill Bill. I don't know that she really needs too much of an explanation.
I remember you coming to, back to whatever, Monday, high school watching.
Monday.
After watching that weekend. And you're just like, dude, I'm obsessed. Like talking about it all day long. And I'm like, I don't like stabby movies. I'm not going to watch it. She's like, okay, let me tell you all about it then. Great. Perfect, because I'm never going to see it. Yeah.
Uma Thurman I love in general. Yeah. I think she's always been one kind of, similar to, as you're talking about Angelina Jolie, I feel like I've viewed Uma Thurman in similar ways. But just seeing a woman outside of, I'd say, like the Marvel DC space in that kind of position was really cool. In a mainstream popular film. Yeah. Was really cool. Yeah. And so, so she was a big one on my list for sure. And then I also have, it was funny because Ashley and I were just talking about this yesterday because of a post I did on Instagram. Okay. Mary Catherine Gallagher. Yeah. Yeah. From Superstar or, SNL, whatever you know her from. She was huge to me in high school. Or even whenever that movie came out. It might have even been sooner than high school. Yeah. I don't really remember now. But I have no idea. Like, I wasn't allowed to watch anything. For some reason, I was allowed to watch that. I don't know why. But there was just something about, as someone who, was teased a lot in school, was always, wearing glasses, reading in the, library by myself, just kind of being on my own thing, being a theater kid later on, like things like that. Just being able to see her character in that movie as, quirky as she is, it's so empowering to see a woman be okay with just being silly and funny. Yeah. I think that, it's like I read something really interesting once that was like, men don't like women who are funny. They like women who think they're funny. Yeah, totally. And that's another, obviously so many spaces are heavily male dominated, but it's kind of like what a lot of these authors are dealing with going into. They're not going into fantasy spaces. They've been there, but okay. That's what comedians have had to deal with as well, is female comedians coming on the scene, because traditionally it has been male comedians, male entertainers. Well, because women aren't funny, right? And so there's always pushback to every female that comes on around. But Molly Shannon, owns it. Yeah. Never didn't not own it. Yeah, it's just, her comedy is unique. Yeah. It's silly. It's just over the top. And, if you're looking for a good memoir to listen to, I loved her memoir. And it's a big physical comedy. Yeah. Which not a lot of women do. No, she's falling down all the time. Yeah. She's dancing. She's singing. I think as someone who never quite fit in growing up, to me, it was like, oh my gosh, but no, I could literally just be myself, as much as people might not understand me. And that's okay. Yeah. And so she's definitely on my list. And then lastly, I wanted to include this because I thought that was important. I put Janice Ian, but I also put Katie Heron and Regina George. And the reason why I put all of them was because I feel like we love Mean Girls. If you're of this age group, you probably do too. Yeah. Obviously, it's written by Tina Fey, who is another female comedian I admire. I think it's this idea that there's a little bit of each one of those characters in all of us. And so that's the point of the movie, is see, how can we support each other as women, accept all the different parts of ourselves that maybe we don't necessarily love or that aren't accepted widely by society. Yeah. So I thought there was something valuable in all of those characters.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. I did want to mention Cher from Clueless.
Oh,
Because as, like, you know, what is it? Ditzy as she's presented and superficial. She actually is a very multifaceted person and human being, like all of us are. And, you know, cares about the environment. And, you know, even though she's giving people makeovers, she, like, cares about the people. And that was also refreshing to see as a kid. Like, you can like fashion and do all... Because so many times we see, like, these vapid villains that only want to steal the princess's beauty, you know?
Yeah.
And so we don't see that you can love fashion and pretty things and also be all of these other things. You know?
Yeah. And I think that comes from, like, misogyny, patriarchy, and the need, you know, in media representations of women to put us in different boxes and then pit us against one another. Also, I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a Mean Girls thing.
Totally.
Right? It's like, why are Regina George and, you know, it's like, what do Regina George, Janice Ian, and Katie Heron all have in common, right? More than they have that they don't have in common.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Beautiful messaging.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, that's exciting. That was a little trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask you guys who your guys' are. That'll be fun. So what qualities, okay, just to go into this, what qualities do MMCs have to have that we enjoy? Like, how do they support the FMCs? Like, what do we appreciate in a good man, whether it be in, you know, books, obviously, or TV, movies, whatever. Teresa Weeks, she was on this panel. She said a big characteristic would be not being threatened by women with qualities that are oftentimes found to be abrasive in women in real life.
Yes.
That's
something that I almost feel that I've reconstructed over the years. Of, like, so many times the women villains even are depicted as these terrible evil women that should be ostracized because they're just strong, independent, powerful women that just are trying to get what they want, just like a man who would never call them anything negative. So that's something that I've seen. I've had to deconstruct, you know, over the years too. Is like, wait, was that villain actually a villain in that movie or in that book or in that show? You know, or was she just doing what a man would do?
right.
You know?
Yeah, and then being villainized for it specifically.
Yeah. So when a man supports that, that's what we want to see.
Well, that's like a huge game changer because it's one thing, you know, it'd be one thing, I think, for another woman to support that person, right? It's like, that's great, and we love that. But it'd be a completely different thing when the male main character is like, no, maybe she's not being pushy, abrasive, and loud. Maybe she's just telling you what the truth is.
Yeah. Totally.
Maybe she's just saying what her opinion is, and she doesn't need to be nice to pad your feelings. Yeah. Because we don't ask that same thing of male characters to do.
Totally.
So I really like that she said that. She also said challenging societal norms, and men as supporting characters. So, like, they're there to push the plot along, but it's not necessarily about them. And they're okay with that. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I agree on all points.
Yeah. I would say the same thing.
But yeah, the biggest one is, you know, just to go back to the fictional men, you know, why are they so great? And I think it does boil down to that very simple fact that they're not just okay with these qualities, they support these qualities that women are discouraged from having in real life.
Yeah. That, and when basically, you know, the male main character is treating the woman with respect and love and everything that we do for the man already. You know?
Like inherently. Yeah, it's this idea that, like, you know,
that they're your equal.
Yeah, well, that they're your equal, but that also, you know, you can't, like, as the male main character, he cares about her feelings. Yeah. He cares about her pleasure. Yeah. He cares about, you know, just all these things without being told to do that. He just does it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah. So I think that that's a big part of it too, is this idea that like it shouldn't have to be a fantasy to want these things.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why lots of times a critique that men have about this genre is that it sets unrealistic expectations for quote unquote like men in real life.
For just being basic humans. It's awesome.
Yeah. When it's like, well, no, maybe our standard should be that whatever man we're with cares about our feelings and everything else.
Yeah.
I don't think that should be that unrealistic.
No.
So that's how I would answer that question as well. I thought that was a good answer. So let's see here. Oh, so the next one that they asked on the panel was, why do we love powerful heroines?
Because it kind of gives us a voice, and it kind of gives us an example of a successful way of living your life. I don't know how to explain it. Like, maybe you could say it more eloquently than I.
So why do we love heroines that are powerful? So the notes that I made were, the authors that were on this panel talked about how they're just writing women.
Yeah.
They're not, which I think was a really powerful way to put that. They're not generally going about it, or at least these particular authors that were on this panel, they're not sitting there saying, you know what, I'm going to write a badass heroine who's going to save the world. They're just writing women, and this is a quote, in all of their complexity and diversity. Mm-hmm. And so inherently, they end up being heroines.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really great.
Well, we love it too because we can see ourselves in so many of these characters.
Yeah. And they
we don't often get to see in media.
Right. And that was another thing that they talked about too, that it's like when women are writing women instead of men writing women, it's just a completely different angle because different tone.
Voice.
Yeah. And I put here, strength can be defined in so many ways. So it's not necessarily like we're just talking about, you know, being physically strong or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
Because they take up space. Mm-hmm. Because we're learning to embrace who we are.
Yeah.
We can live vicariously through them. You know, it's examples obviously of female agency because we're looking at characters that are deserving of pleasure, love, and all of those things that we should inherently be deserving of in real life. Because when we are reading these strong female characters written, or heroines written by women, they're not rooted through the male gaze.
Yeah.
We write to the female gaze is what a lot of the authors said, which I thought was really, really telling, because it goes back to this theme that kind of kept on coming up. I felt like in a lot of the panels where, you know, once you include romance in a book that is fantasy, you know, that's when I feel like it can start to get diminished or minimized as being less like literature and more just like fluff or whatever. It like wants to
delegitimize.
Yeah, the work. And so
as if not everything we consume involves romance. Like
in some
I've said
degree.
So many times about the show that my husband watches where the guy's talking like this. It's all romance.
Yeah. Well, but the difference was, and I thought that this was really interesting because I hadn't necessarily thought about it in this way before, even though obviously it is like this, but it's that idea that it's like when there is some type of, you know, call it romance or sex in a book that has to do with a woman, oftentimes because it doesn't center around the woman's pleasure and love, it centers around the man's agenda, it can be depicted more like violence against women, or it just has a completely different tone. And so why is it okay to write, like, why is it literature when you're writing about sex that women don't want?
Yeah.
But when you're writing about sex that women do want, now it's just like smutty nothing that doesn't deserve
it's assault
accolades.
Scenes or even just when they talk about war and violence and murder. That is never batted an eye. That's never told to take it down a notch or delegitimize a book. But as soon as it's like people falling in love legitimately, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
If the woman's having a good time, someone's going to be mad about it.
It's like crazy that we're even having to have this discussion in 2025.
Yeah.
That is still a mindset that's out there. It's nuts.
But I felt like, you know, all those were very valid points, though. It's like, it's much more relatable to us, too.
Yeah.
Just bottom line. So,
Yeah.
the last question I had from this particular talk that I thought we would kind of share an example. The reason why I thought it would be good to talk about these things on this episode, kind of giving you guys the lowdown on Romantasy Bookcon, is because I think that, like, yeah, it's really fun. You get to meet people, you get to meet authors, you get to dress up and go to a ball and, like, you know, do all this really fun stuff. But the conversations that we're having there are really important.
They're not like, okay, here, this is my book. You should all buy it. It's not like that at all. It's very deep and wonderful and beautiful and empowering.
And it's important. It's like, it's not just that we, like I said before, get to dress up in ball gowns and go, you know, sing together to Miley Cyrus. While that is literally amazing and so fun.
Yeah.
It's also that, you know, we get to go have this kind of conversation together in a room where we have the privilege to all sit and discuss these topics that, you know, women over the generations have fought for us to be able to have.
Yeah.
And then we get to go dress up in ball gowns and, you know, sing to Miley Cyrus. Like, what a time.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so the last question was, how has reading these characters helped you in your everyday life and in just navigating the world?
I mean, just like we talked about, like, you get to see yourself in these characters and you get to kind of, like, live in their shoes in a way and take some tools that they learn along the way and apply them to your own life and scenarios. Kind of learn to not take so much BS. You know, definitely. That's what's helped me.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I would agree. And then the notes that I made here, just of the things that the authors had mentioned that I agree with wholeheartedly. This idea that we don't just have to be happy to be there.
Yeah.
I don't remember which author said that, but I put it in quotes. We bring value and can ask for things.
Yeah.
So it's like this idea, like, you should just be grateful to be in the room. No, I don't need to be just grateful to be in the room.
Yeah.
Like, I think that is huge. To counter the idea that anything created for women is somehow lesser than. I thought this was really pretty. We all have our demons to slay.
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever that might be for you, I think lots of times, you know, we're reading about these fantastical journeys, but, like, really, you know, most of us aren't experiencing that kind of thing.
They can be symbolic.
They're very symbolic.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else did I put here? Oh, and then, you know, I remember when I took my first, like, intro to women's studies class in college, one of my textbooks had, like, a chart where it was, like, split down the middle, and it had an adjective that would describe a man if he did it. And then on the opposite side of that line, it would be the exact same characteristic, but how it would be described if a female did that same thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, on the male side, it would say, like, confident. And then on the female side, it would say, like, bossy. You know, assertive versus loud. Open-minded versus, like, inconsistent. And so, you know, they talked a little bit about that, about, like, deconstructing the male quote-unquote characteristics versus female characteristics. And I think that, you know, that is one of the things that these, you know, romantasy fantasy books can really help us to unlearn.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I feel like some of the authors even brought up, you know, that internalized misogyny is a thing. And I think that, you know, sometimes we don't even realize that we're saying things to ourselves like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't, like, I don't know, that's just going to make me look bossy.
Yeah.
That's just going to make me look bitchy. You know, sometimes I ask myself, like, what would my husband say? You know what I mean? And then I try to do that because I'm like, he doesn't care about anyone thinking he's being bitchy. Yeah, so I feel like that those were really good points. And, gosh, I feel like I wrote so many things down.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Deconstructing the idea that women have to be in love to develop feelings, whereas men can just have sex with whoever whenever they want.
Yeah.
So that was a really important one that stood out to me. Romance normalizes sex. It also helps to show women what sex can be like, not from a man's perspective.
Yeah.
So all of these reasons, I feel like, you know, for me, I've always read a lot of fantasy. I didn't necessarily read a lot of romance until recently.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely helped me kind of deconstruct a lot of those things around, like, you know, purity culture and whatnot, which is for a different episode.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
But those are all really important.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Do you have any final thoughts about any of that?
No, it was so wonderful, like I said, to like hear, you know, these real conversations happening on these panels. Because as our first BookCon, we didn't know what to expect. You know? Are we just going to be listening to sales pitches? Not that, like, you know, I didn't know everybody that was going to be on the panel. I don't know. I don't know. I've never been to one. I don't know what's going to go on, you know?
Well, and we kind of wonder, too, like, you know, are we going to be, like, you would hope that you're going to be sitting in a room with other like-minded individuals.
Yeah, we don't know. Like, we don't know what side of the spectrum that they're on politically or whatever, socially. And you just don't know.
It turns out it's probably really hard to write a lot of our favorite badass FMC characters without feeling a lot of these feelings.
Those are more like sneaker sells these days, it seems, that we're figuring it out. But we had to go there to kind of figure that out. Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, sometimes with these interviews, we don't get to find out when we do author interviews until like we're in the interview, like, oh, one of us, you know? So the second interview needs to happen now, you know, because you get to know them and where they stand, and you get to know how deep the conversations can go comfortably, you know, where people, I think, are also so used to muting themselves and editing what they're going to say. Yeah. You know, and it's nice to know where you're in a safe space. And at the end of the day, oh no, we all want to have equal rights. That's so crazy that has pushback.
I mean, it is crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, That's crazy. A talk for another day.
I know, but just to touch on that. Okay, let's do some fun rapid fire smasher passes. Romantasy edition. Okay. So, you know, with like our smasher passes, like we like to say, you're not like literally smashing this. It's the idea. Yeah. Would you smash this or would you pass on it?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, Liz. Okay. Smash or pass. Ticketed book signings.
Smash.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
Half smash.
Half? Just half?
Depends how long they take. No. Yeah. No, I liked it. It was good. Yeah. Little fun fact. I'm not big on having things signed. I know you are. Mm-hmm. And I love that about you. And so I will join you in this endeavor. Yes. But like, I'm somebody that's like, okay. My husband loves to get some stuff signed too, so I'm used to being around that. Yeah. But it's like, great, I brought the books, I haven't signed, I want to meet the people, you know? And you do too, but like, cool. I don't know. So I'll smash it for you.
Okay,
but like,
I love that.
It was, I guess, if they were just going to be out and I could meet the people that I wanted and like just go wander around and walk around, that's fine. Yeah. Does that make sense? I don't have to do the ticketed signings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like you don't hate it, but you don't love it either.
I'm just neutral. Yeah. I don't not love it. It's neutral.
I am a sucker for something organized. Yeah. You know? Yeah. That's my thing. It's like, it's not necessarily like I'm against going and walking around and getting stuff signed that way or like talking to them during a chance encounter. I want to know that between 9:30 and 10, I am going to get my thing signed.
Fair. Yeah.
That's it, you know?
That's great.
So, okay, so smash or pass the masquerade ball.
Smash. Smash. So hard. And listen, we are comfortable ladies. Like, we are sweatpants, leggings ladies. You just got to do it. That's what we kept telling ourselves. When are we going to get another chance to be the belle of the ball?
Literally.
And we are so glad we did it. It was one of our highlights of our weekend, like I said, because it's all your people.
It was so fun.
And we promptly changed at 11:30 p.m., put our sweats on in order to Uber Eats, and we're getting fist bumps for also being in sweats. Yep. They're like, I can't wait to do that. Good idea, girls. We're going to go right now and do that.
Because we had to go down back to the lobby to pick up our food and get water.
Yeah. You know? So.
Oh, as we're on the topic of dresses and dressing up, I did want to give a shout out to my friend who made my dress from scratch, literally built it. I don't know how people even do that. It's crazy to me. So if you're in the Humboldt area, if you're in the Eureka area and you're looking for a costume or a dress or something like that, her name is Elizabeth Holloway, and I'm giving her an official shout out.
Nice.
Yes. If you have questions on how to get in contact with her, DM me. DM us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Look, it looks like female anatomy.
Oh my God, it does.
There we go.
Welcome to our podcast.
Yeah.
You have to watch the YouTube video for that.
Pillows were lined in such a way, as these. I love that these are rapid fire smasher passes and they're not.
Yeah, it's
We're just
fine.
talking and talking. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna hit you with one now.
Okay.
Smash or pass, cosplay.
I mean, smash for sure. I really, really commend the people who have that kind of energy and will to live. Yeah. I am just like, the most I had in me was the masquerade ball.
Yeah.
And then my mental energy tapped out after that because I get very weird about like planning outfits and wearing things.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would love to do more of that in the future. It's fun. I love seeing people's costumes and iterations of, you know, different characters from books and popular media. It's great. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
It's a smash for me to see other people doing it. Love it all day. It's a pass for me myself doing it, surprisingly, because I love a good costume. I just think on myself, I would put so much pressure.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It would kind of take the fun out of it for me.
Yeah.
Just because I'd have to make sure, like, I'd have to try to get perfect, and then it still wouldn't be perfect in my head, and, you know.
Yeah,
so.
I get stressed about it, too.
I love seeing everybody else's, and everybody else's different variations of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, why do I have that pressure on myself? Because we're our own worst critics, that's why.
We saw some great costumes.
People thought we were in something the first day, just because we were vibing. They're like, well, who are you as? Vibes.
Yeah, just ourselves.
Because we were kind of strappy, black and strappy, you know?
So we like made cute coordinated outfits, but like
coordinated outfits, great for me.
But not full costume or anything. But I do commend people who do that.
Yeah,
for
maybe,
sure.
Who knows? If I get 5 Bookcons in me, maybe one day. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'll never say never, right?
You know what? It would be fun to dress up like Elsa again.
Yeah, because I mean, what is cosplay, but also Halloween, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Which we totally do.
Okay, I've got one for you. Mm-hmm. I wonder what the answer to this one could be. Trinket trading.
Smash.
Yeah.
We're going to go so much harder next time.
Yeah, that's so easy.
Yeah. Okay, last one. Smash or pass. Wheeled book carts. Or like some sort of wagon full of books and heavy things.
So I don't know.
We saw a lot of these.
Yeah, which is fine.
And
like,
I don't know that everybody also didn't know that there was a lot of stairs.
Yeah, a lot of stairs.
That's a big part of this.
One of my favorite things was literally watching people just like thunk down.
Unapologetically.
Yeah,
which
just
I love.
Down all the stairs with their book cart.
I'm doing it.
Because I you know, your chaotic energy, like I see you in my chaotic energy, you know, or whatever that is. But you know, I don't know. I was carrying my books around in like a tote bag because I didn't have like a huge amount of them or anything like that. Yeah. That became cumbersome and hurt my arm.
Yeah.
However, I don't know that wheeling a thing around would have made me happier necessarily. So I don't know what the solution to this is. Maybe you guys have a suggestion. I honestly don't know.
So is it a smash or pass for you? Are you on the
I'm going to say, like, for me personally, I don't know yet. But, like, smash in general, because, like, I'm happy for you if that's what you like.
Yeah.
But, like, I need, like, a good solution. I haven't really figured that out yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, smash for other people, like, do what you want.
Yeah.
I commend you. And pass for me, because, again, like, signing isn't my priority, so it's like, whatever. I'll take what I can carry. I can't believe you did a tote bag. I forgot to ask you how your shoulder and your arm is. Are you okay?
I'm okay. I'm fine, but I feel like in some of
I hate tote bags. Listen. Finish your thought, and I got something to say.
I feel like in some of our like winter formal pictures, I have like a red mark from it, and it was like it had been like hours since I was carrying it. I'm
not a purse lady. I am a mom who's constantly carrying other people's things. Mm-hmm. So when I have a chance to not be with my family, I don't want to hold anything. That's why I like crossbody bags, fanny packs. That's my jam. That's the biggest I want to go. I did bring a backpack, and I have like a mid-size backpack that whatever books I could fit, that's what I get to bring. Mm-hmm. And I didn't notice them, so I was happy with that. But yeah, absolutely not ever gonna take around something, to mark my words, yeah, right. I couldn't deal with the cumbersomeness of like things, just because like now, like when Liz and I get to go to Disneyland, just us, I don't want to carry anything. I don't even want to carry my bottle of water. Let me strap it on my back somehow and I'm great.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt. I don't want extra pains. Or over 35. Listen, we got creaks and crunks, and we've done it. We've done the purses. We're done. I am, at least. Yeah. That's a part of the cosplay thing, too, is like usually you need some kind of accessories, and it's like, how long do I want to hold this sword? You know?
Yeah.
I don't want to hold stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to hold stuff either. So yeah,
I don't. For me on the cart.
It's like I want my book to just show up, get signed, and then magically disappear. So I think what I need is magic.
You cracked the code.
I did. So there we go. All right, guys. This was a great episode. I feel like we talked about a lot of really fun stuff, and hopefully you guys gleaned a little bit of useful information if you've been thinking about going to a book con. Yeah, we definitely will be going to more in the future. We'll make sure to let you guys know.
Yeah, if you've been to some and you're like, oh, I know how to solve that problem for them, feel free to slide into our DMs, Besties in the Books podcast, or if you're on the YouTube video, drop it in the comments because other people probably want the tips too, quite frankly. And maybe we'll put a question box up and share. Like, does anybody have any book con tips?
Yeah, and then also, like, if you just have any book cons that are your favorite, that you feel like we need to go to, like, we're in California, so obviously that's easier, but we are also willing to travel. So if there are ones that you love, let us know so we can check them out.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Guys, thank you so much for coming today. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe anywhere you like to listen to your favorite podcast, including YouTube. And also head over onto Instagram and TikTok at Besties in the Books podcast to follow us there. Go on to Fable and join us at Besties in the Book Club. And you guys, I'm pretty sure we're still seeing you Friday, so don't go too far. We'll see you Friday and Tuesday. Next Tuesday. Okay, bye.